Welcome back to another episode of Caffeinated CX, where we talk about CX and stuff all in a hyper-caffeinated state. I'm David, your host, and today is going to be about the stuff. Right. So, we're going to take a sip of this delicious coffee. Amazon Basics with a couple of Splenda. All right. So, today we're going to be talking about and analyzing a song by Jello Biafra. Jello Biafra, if you remember, was the lead singer of the Dead Kennedys. And since they broke up so many years ago, in the mid to late 80s, he's done a few side projects. I don't know if you can classify them as side projects because his main band isn't around anymore. One of those side projects was with Mojo Nixon. Mojo Nixon is an alt country group guy. And the album was called Prairie Home Invasion. And it was Jello Biafra and Mojo Nixon. And then they redid this song with the Guantanamo School of Medicine. So, yes. Good song. It's called Burgers of Wrath, which might sound familiar to you. Might not. I don't know. But we're just going to dive right into the lyrics. I'm going to read the lyrics, and then we're going to talk about them. So, without further ado, I'm just going to read these. I'll put the YouTube link to the song down in the show notes so that you can actually listen to it. Blah, 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 blah. All right. Here we go. Burgers of Wrath. Crossing the land on vacation, saw lots of families so much like ours. All they got left piled in their cars. Can't get those desperate faces off our minds. But now we're stuck on that same road. Companies shipped our jobs to Mexico. Soup is good food. You made a good meal, but don't blame us. Blame the Chinese. Seasons of rust, age of decline, make cars that fall apart. People get wise. More sour grapes that never turn into wine. Just burgers of wrath. Reach the northwest, there's nothing left. Forest strip mined away, the fish are dead. Executives twist things around. Got people they wiped out, all blaming owls. The ranger says she hates to as she kicks us out. Our 30 days are up at this campground. Tourist yells, get a job, there's none around. Just burgers of wrath. Par for the course, we're on the streets, whole family begging change in Fog City. New job don't mean roof over our heads, can't save enough for first and last month's rent. Try not to snap, don't hit the kids, it's bad enough growing up like this. A storage space, guard shines a light, we huddle in our locker, quiet as mice. Just like mice. We've even got tuberculosis on the rise, thousands more banks fail, yet the crisis is denied. President says sacrifice, there's no new deal this time. Just burgers of wrath. Well, maybe you're saying, hey, that's a dated song. What, was that written in the recession of 2008? No, it was written much before then. But time, to quote Secrets of Mana, time is like a river, and history repeats, which doesn't make much sense. But I think it was a mistranslation, but I think you get the point. So, we are living in an era of the Great Resignation, the great restructuring of the worker. And what we're seeing is stuff that's reminiscent of this song. This song, honestly, if I'm in the right mood, is a tearjerker for me because, well, I've lived through some of this stuff, right? So, but let's talk about the current state of things right now. So, because this show is about CX, it's also about EX, and this goes into employee experience. There's nothing quite like being downsized and your job itself being shipped away to save a percentage point on the bottom line. nothing quite like that. Nothing quite like that feeling. So, right now, as of right now, 64% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. They don't have much in savings. A lot of Americans can't even afford a $500 emergency bill. Now, generationally, the millennials, who are between the ages of like 25 and 40, 70% of them live paycheck to paycheck. Meaning if their job dries up tomorrow, they have no way of living. And right now, with inflation at a reported 7.5%, we all know it's much higher, especially when it comes to gas, which in LA County, just the average went over $6. And food, which is outrageously expensive. Remember those chicken leg quarters, which used to be like 69 cents to $1 a pound? My last trek to the grocery store, they were $5.99 a pound. That, I'm not good at math, but that's a lot more than 7.5%. I think. Again, not good at math. All right, so let's take a look at some companies here. There's a big box store that is in pretty much every town. March Wall, something like that. 14 in a study done between 9 states, they found that 14,500 of their employees took advantage of SNAP benefits, which is food stamps, plus other welfare options. In the same study, they did a poll on McDonald's, and 8,780 of their employees were on SNAP or food stamps. In 2021, Walmart had record profits of $572.75 million just in profit. Revenue was much higher, and that's what we're seeing right now with a lot of other companies is inflation, yes, but these companies aren't just recording record revenues, they're recording record profits. So that's neat. So one has to wonder how much of the inflation is, well, inflated by our corporate overlords. So just something to think about. So burgers of wrath, grapes of wrath, same concept, different era. And if things keep going the way that they're going, we're going to see a repeat of 2008. Hopefully not a repeat of 1929, which we're back in the roaring 20s, guys. We're back. So far things have kind of lined up with the last century. We got that pandemic going. There's a war and tension in Eastern Europe. Things are just going ducky, huh? So, well, let's switch this around and talk about how to keep employees engaged when stuff like this is going on. When 14,500 workers of a major profitable chain are on welfare, or when McDonald's, and I don't know if you heard about this one, when they sent out that budget plan for a minimum wage worker, and like rent was like $200, and there was a spot for a second job, and they were left with like $200, and everyone laughed at them because it was funny. Look that up. Look up the McDonald's budget plan on Google, and you'll find it. It's hilarious and sad. So, in the Great Resignation, in the Great Restructuring of American workers, what can we do to keep our employees? Well, one thing is to look at what Walmart and McDonald's are doing and do the opposite. That might work. Look, if you pay taxes, you're paying Walmart employees, where Walmart has enough money to foot the bill. So, whatever. And don't think I'm like this Bernie Sanders bleeding heart liberal. I come from employee engagement, employee experience from a pretty capitalist standpoint, because the better the employees are treated and the more human they're treated, the better they're going to represent the company and treat the customers. So, yeah, don't ever confuse me with a Bernie Sanders type, or anything like that. So, because that's wrong. That's not what I'm getting at here. We have to take the examples that have been set out and do better. If you want to keep the employees, if you want to make their lives better, because that's one of the goals as a leader. Is part of being a leader is letting and enabling your people to grow. You want to constantly be promoting, constantly be hiring, and causing the company to lift itself up, but also the people within it up. Because a company is nothing without people. And people can take care of the customers, and customers can take care of the business. We've gone over that before. But we're living in times where things are pretty, well, terrible for a lot of people. So let's do our best to make things a little better for everybody. All right. That's today's Caffeinated CX. See you next time. Bye.